Not picking on Frigidaire. This just happens to be my personal unit that I had for a couple years before it died. And what I want to do is just kind of walk you through the steps that I took to figure out that this thing wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing. The symptom is it's emptying into a floor drain, so it's hard for me to tell if it's taking out moisture, enough moisture. You know, I see it running, I see that it's damp around the end of the hose. Must be okay. Seems like it's running a lot though, so I thought I would check it out. It's kind of small, but just to the left of the dehumidifier you can see a kilowatt meter. A kilowatt's a brand name, and it's really just something that measures how much electricity something's using. In this case I have it set to watts because it's easy to communicate to people in terms of a 100-watt bulb or a 1200-watt hairdryer. So what we can do is we can look at how many watts this dehumidifier is using as it goes through its cycle. The fan will run, it'll use 30-40 watts, then the compressor will come on and it'll use 200 or 300 watts. But let's watch that happen. Fan's on low and it's using 58 watts, 59 watts. And I'm going to put the humidity all the way down. It's set to continuous, and what should happen after it's done sampling the air is the compressor should come on. We'll give that just a minute, let it run. Meanwhile, as that's running, oops, now the compressor came on. So, compressor came on, it used 400 watts there for a second. Right now it's using 360 watts. But what we want to do, we need to know right now that it's supposed to be pulling air in. It's supposed to be pulling air in through this first set of coils and then exhausting it out the side. But we can't really tell if that's getting cold. But if we look at it, I should be seeing refrigerant work its way up that first set of coils. They're called evaporator coils. And prepare that for cooling or chilling room air so that it releases its moisture. Now we've let that run for a good few minutes and we don't see any change. We don't see any increase in the amount of refrigerant that's moving up. You know, if this was taking any moisture out of the air at all, it's very, very little. It would have to come into contact this little bit down here, very little cool. Byproduct of compressing of the gas is heat. So we should be seeing heat coming out of the side of the unit. And I don't see any. See that? So I can tell you right now what this thing is a big fan. And it's a big fan that uses 370 watts when the compressor's on. So I wouldn't open this up unless it was to harvest parts. The compressor is running and there's nothing to compress. We didn't have to open it. We didn't have to do anything other than run it for a couple minutes and take a look at what was happening in the compressor. So give me just a minute. I'm going to swap units and do it with a unit that works well, and I'll be right back.
I thought I'd take a look at my daily driver basement dehumidifier just to see what kind of a different heat signature that produced and energy signature. So we'll turn it on. And you can tell it's on. Fan is on. Oh, wait a minute, compressor's on. 413 watts. So this guy is definitely on. The coolant kind of filling out the grid there. And that took what, a minute or two? Not even. The other thing we'll start to see, we haven't seen it yet, as that compressor heats up, we'll start to be able to see it through the back of the unit. But The contrast is significant. It's rapid because it's full of refrigerant. And I'm just going to kind of shoot up to the top here to let you see that there's a difference in the heat coming out. And so that red stripe you see across the top of the camera is the exhaust coming out of the dehumidifier. So it's heating up. The air that's coming out of there is definitely heating up. So the hotter air, and then look at the back. Minute or two, solid blue. That's what we're looking for. Hope this is useful to you. I know it has been to me in the, kind of the initial diagnosis of the units that are coming in. The two things we're looking for are, does the compressor come on? And if the compressor comes on, is it making cold? And if the compressor comes on and it's not making cold, then it's probably lost its refrigerant. And there isn't a real environmentally sound way to replenish that refrigerant, and the people who know how to do it and do it right, you know, it's not going to make any sense economically for them to go through the trouble of responsibly evacuating the remaining refrigerant, pressure testing or vacuum testing the unit to find the leak within the fins, repairing one or more leaks, pressure or vacuum testing the unit to make sure that it's repaired, evacuating the air, refilling it with refrigerant, retesting. As you can imagine, it can be a lengthy process. That and whatever it is that led to the failure in the first place hasn't necessarily been repaired. If there is some interaction between the material that the refrigerant tubing is made of and the refrigerant itself that causes it to fail, that's inherently going to continue to be a problem. So, you know, high pressure, both the hero and the villain here in terms of keeping these units running. So it requires careful attention to construction and material choices, and that's not always the case when people are trying to save a buck in their manufacture. I personally am not recommending people run out and buy this particular Honeywell dehumidifier. It works for me, but you know, they're all made by a couple different companies, and I can't tell you what the specs look like between them or what the manufacturing practices are for the different brands that they produce, or you know, all that. That's all a mystery to me. But I can tell you that we seem to be able to at least diagnose now whether a unit's working or not, and that's something that used to take us more effort than what I just showed you. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.